I remember Unikitty from the Lego movies and the fact that she got a spin-off of her own that has a beach episode. It really feels like that the Lego movie had an era of its own when it comes to popularity, but when the second movie came out, it didn't last long. Believe me, whenever I think about the Lego movies, I mainly think about how oppressive they were back in the day, but nowadays, it really feels like one of those films that are easily forgotten. And when it comes to Unikitty the spin-off, it's literally what I expect when it comes to the Lego movie formula of how the Lego movie was really good. And I'm not talking about animation, I meant writing-wise. And even though that the people who are working on the show may not be the same people who worked on the Lego movies, but when it comes to the characters themselves, they really feel like Lego people, even though that this world is Unikitty's world. This episode, Beach Daze, is where Unikitty and her friends want to spend the day at the beach while finding the perfect spot, but Master Frown prevents any of them to do any activities. If you ask me, knowing full well that these characters are Legos, and then we experience a beach journey involving Unikitty and her friends to go to the perfect spot on the beach. Yeah, this really feels like the kids are playing their toys and making up all this for the sake of their enjoyment. Though then again, that's mainly what kids would do whenever they play Legos, and ever since I saw the first two Lego movies, it really feels like that this entire show really feels like a kid's coming up with these ideals. And with this being a Cartoon Network show, and the fact that I didn't watch this show like some shows that I ended up giving up on, I'm starting to convince that this show was literally made to cash in on Unikitty from the Lego movies. But that's not really a problem considering that Unikitty is a toy. When I came to my conclusion on reviewing this episode as part of Summerpalooza 4 Beach Paradise, the only paradise I witnessed from this is that the characters really need a spot on the beach while enjoying themselves, while a lifeguard, who is Master Frown, is preventing them from doing anything. If I'm gonna be really honest with you, the fact that this show is over the top, and the fact that it's supposed to be juvenile in a Lego kind of way, this really feels like We Baby Bears, despite the fact that We Baby Bears came out after this. Because, in all honesty, if every single episode centers around the characters doing anything that they want, even though that the differences between this and We Baby Bears is that Unikitty and her friends have a home, unlike We Baby Bears, I didn't have expectations, but that doesn't mean that I was extremely bored from this. Even though that I can totally understand that the style of this episode is, well, Unikitty and her friends need to find the perfect spot, and there's a reason onto why I have the outro of this episode's background as part of it. But at the same time, whenever I look at this episode, this really feels like a 1990s or a 2000s kindergarten or educational show episode or whatever. That really feels a lot more juvenile, and considering that it's not being completely juvenile, it really feels like that it's trying a lot to please the Unikitty fans. Since that this is part of Season 1 and there are 2 more seasons after Season 1, some of the episodes probably have this formula, and the fact that Unikitty probably gets more development, unlike in the movies. Well, she's a secondary character. I'm gonna be real with you. I know for that this show is probably gonna be a lot more if I watch more episodes. But whenever I look at bits and pieces from this episode, it really feels like an episode that is mainly to entertain the Unikitty fans who enjoyed her from the Lego movies. And with the addition of original characters, there's probably a lot of kids or young girls who really enjoy Unikitty, to the point that Unikitty is like Pinkie Pie and the other characters from other shows who are like Pinkie Pie. If there was a before Pinkie Pie became a thing when Friendship is Magic became a thing in 2010. Let me tell you, I've seen so many of these types of characters that they always have changes into them, that they're not completely like Pinkie Pie, but they're close to Pinkie Pie. Well, you probably expected them to do something really exciting and really over the top. But for me personally, I don't like those types of characters like I used to. Though then again, this is my first episode watching Unikitty, so watching more episodes will probably give me investment somehow, but who knows. I'm just saying right now that watching this episode involving Unikitty's friends or siblings, it really feels like that it's gonna take time to get to know them more, considering that I have knowledge of what Unikitty is from the Lego movies, despite not being a huge fan of those movies. But since that this episode's main intentions is mainly a journey on the beach by finding the perfect spot, despite the fact that in the middle they're mostly in the desert and mostly in a sandcastle, which are somewhat beach related. But in all honesty, this episode alone, involving Unikitty finding the perfect spot, all the while dealing with Master Frown towards the end of the episode by just trying to place her tower on the sand. It's not clever, but at the same time, it's supposed to be goofy. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest, after witnessing other lifeguards in other beach episodes, I don't found Master Frown really irritating. Like, considering that he's mainly a toy and supposed to be goofy like the other toys in this, I could guarantee you that there's another character who could be worse than him. Granted, it's gonna take time for me, which I'm pretty sure I won't when it comes to these types of shows. But if I do get the chance, maybe there's a character on this show that is worse than Master Frown. If I'm gonna be really honest with you, with the impressions that I have with this show upon watching this episode, I'm gonna be real with you. I pretty much knew that this was gonna be like the Lego movie, but with Unikitty, but I don't consider it as a bad thing. Like, while this episode isn't one of my favorite beach episodes, at the very least, it's harmless for being a beach quest episode. Beach Journey, Beach Quest, same thing. I did like the Kingdom of Cuddles, which is mainly a sandcastle, and the animation is decent, but I've seen better animations, even for television. The only thing I can recommend this show to is mainly the Lego movie fans, mainly the Unikitty fans, but if you're going into this without watching either Lego movie, you're probably gonna be in it for either a treat or not really a treat. I'm giving this episode a 6 out of 10.